The alarm bells rang through the UTS Independence as it drifted in deep space. Captain John Mitchell rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his jacket. His crew was already at their stations, staring at the view screen with wide eyes. "What's going on, Pete?" John asked his communications officer. Pete Davidson spun his chair around, his face pale. "Sir, we've got company. Big company." The view screen flickered to life, showing hundreds of alien ships. They were huge, sleek vessels covered in dark metal. The smallest one was larger than Earth's moon. They hung in space like a swarm of metal, wasps all pointing forward. "Dr. Sullivan, what do we know about these ships?" John asked. Dr. Kate Sullivan ran her fingers across her console, pulling up data. "Captain, I'm reading power signatures that shouldn't be possible. Their engines alone could crack a planet." Lisa Hayes, the ship's tactical officer, whistled low. "Their weapons are hot, sir. Every single ship is armed and ready." "Are they talking to us?" John asked. "Yes, sir. They're sending a message on all frequencies," Pete said. "Should I put it on screen?" "Do it." The view screen changed. A tall figure appeared, standing at least 7 feet high. Its skin was gray and thick like armor. 4 arms crossed over its chest. 2 eyes glowed red in a face that looked like it had never smiled. "I am Supreme Commander Zorthak of the Zelanian Empire," the figure announced. "Your primitive species has entered restricted space. You have exactly 24 hours to surrender your home world. If you refuse, we will destroy every planet in your system, every ship, every space station, every living thing. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning." The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent. Then Pete started to chuckle. The chuckle grew into a laugh. Soon he was holding his sides, tears streaming down his face. "Sorry, sir," Pete gasped between laughs. Did he really just give us 24 hours to surrender an entire planet? Like we're in some bad science fiction movie? Kate Sullivan started, giggling. He sounded so serious too, like a child playing pretend in the backyard. Lisa Hayes snorted. "And that outfit. Did you see those shoulder pads? My grandmother had curtains like that in the 80s. Soon the entire bridge crew was laughing. John tried to keep a straight face but failed. The absurdity of it all hit him. Here they were, billions of light years from home, being threatened by space bullies who looked like they shopped at the villain costume store. Okay, settle down everyone," John said, wiping his eyes. "We need to respond to this." "Should we prepare for battle, sir?" Lisa asked, still grinning. John thought, for a moment. "Pete, send them our reply. Tell them we appreciate their threat, but we already have enough things that want to kill us. Tax audits, mother-in-law visits, and people who don't return shopping carts. We're all full up." Pete's fingers danced over his console. "Message sent, sir?" They waited. 5 minutes passed. Then a new transmission arrived. "This is not a joke," Zorthak's voice boomed. "You dare to mock the Zelanian Empire? I dare to mock anyone who sends mail threatening to blow up planets," John said to his crew. "It's like getting an angry email from your HOA about fence height regulations." Lisa raised her hand. "Sir, I have an idea." "Go ahead, Lisa. What if we send them something that will confuse them? Make them think twice? Like what?" "Well, do. We still have that collection of cat videos the kids at Earth High School sent for our mission." Pete perked up. "Yes. And the memes. And the best comedy specials from the last 50 years, Kate Sullivan added. "Don't forget the collection of Rick Astley's greatest hits." John grinned. "Do it. Send them everything. If they want to threaten us, they can watch 1,000 hours of human entertainment first." The crew sprang into action. Within minutes, they compiled a package of Earth's greatest hits, cat videos, fail compilations, stand-up comedy routines, memes, and music. Pete created a playlist that started with "Never Gonna Give You Up" and ended with the complete works of Eddie Murphy. "Sending the package now, sir," Pete announced. They watched as the transmission left their ship. The Zelanian fleet remained in position, silent. "Think they'll watch it?" Lisa asked. "If they're monitoring us, they won't have a choice," Kate replied. I set it to autoplay on repeat. Hours passed. The crew continued their normal duties, but with frequent bursts of laughter as they imagined alien warrior watching cat videos. They maintained a defensive posture but made no aggressive moves. Finally, after 6 hours, a new transmission arrived. "This is Sub-Commander Krell of the Zilanian Empire," a different alien announced. He looked smaller than Zorthak, with only 3 eyes. "We have received your materials. We demand an explanation. What is the meaning of why did the chicken cross the road? What military purpose does the crossing of avian creatures serve?" The bridge crew exploded with laughter again. "Should I explain jokes to them, sir?" Pete asked. "No," John replied. "Let's keep them guessing. Tell them the chicken question is classified information. Top secret Earth defense protocols." As Pete typed the response, Lisa pulled up their sensor readings. "Captain, their weapon systems just powered down on 3 ships. They're studying our transmissions. Hard. They're trying to crack our comedy codes," Kate said, shaking her head. "This is the most ridiculous military standoff in history." Another message arrived, this time from Zorthak himself. "Your defense mechanisms are unusual. We require additional time to understand your strategic data. The deadline is extended. Do not attempt to flee or we will resume our attack." "They need more time to watch cat videos," Pete summarized helpfully. John leaned back in his captain's chair. "All right, people, we've bought ourselves some time. Let's use it. I want round-the-clock streaming of everything funny we can find. Keep them watching. Keep them confused." "Yes, sir," the crew responded in unison. Over the next several hours, they streamed an endless barrage of human humor at the Zilanian fleet. The alien ships remained in position, weapon systems fluctuating between active and standby as their commanders tried to understand what they were watching. "Sir," Kate reported, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from their command ship. It's like their computers are overheating." "From too many LOL cats?" Lisa suggested. "Possibly," Kate admitted. "Or from trying to decode the military significance of knock-knock jokes," Pete interrupted. "Sir, we're getting another transmission." "Put it on," John said. Zorthak appeared again, but something was different. His rigid stance seemed less certain. His glowing eyes didn't look quite as threatening. "Human ship," he began slowly. "We have reviewed your defense protocols. They are unlike anything in our database. Is this some form of psychological warfare? The small Earth creatures making sounds and falling from furniture? What tactical advantage does this provide?" "None," John replied simply. "It's just funny." "Funny?" Zorthak repeated the word like it was alien to him. "Yes. Entertainment. Something we do for enjoyment. You create elaborate scenarios for enjoyment, not training, not psychological conditioning for battle?" "Nope. Just for laughs." Zorthak stood silent for a long moment. "We must analyze this further. Your execution is postponed pending complete understanding of your funny defense system." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge quiet again. "Think we've actually got them stumped?" Lisa asked. "I think," John said slowly, "we've just introduced the concept of humor to a species that's never experienced it before." "That's either the best thing we could do for galactic peace," Kate mused, "or we've just completely broken their war-planning computers." Pete raised his hand. "Permission to send them the complete Monty Python collection, sir?" "Permission granted." "Pete, let's see what happens when they try to understand the cheese shop sketch." As the Independents continued transmitting Earth's finest comedy to the confused Zilanian Empire, somewhere deep in their command ship, an alien computer was attempting to calculate the military value of a rubber chicken. Other computers were analyzing the strategic implications of the Three Stooges. And Supreme Commander Zorthak found himself watching for the 7th time a video of a panda sneezing. In the history of first contact scenarios, this was certainly the most unusual. The Zilanian Empire, conquerors of 100 worlds, were being held at bay not by weapons or shields, but by humanity's unparalleled ability to laugh at absurdity, even in the face of potential annihilation. The emergency session of the United Nations had never been louder. Ambassador Richard Parker stood at the podium, holding up his hands for silence. The hall buzzed with voices in dozens of languages, all trying to talk at once. "Everyone, please," Richard called out. "We need to organize our response." "We should attack first," shouted an ambassador from the back row. "With what?" another replied. "They have hundreds of ships. We have 6 patrol craft and a mining shuttle." "We could build defenses," suggested someone else. General Mike Barnes stepped forward. He wore his full dress uniform, medals jangling as he moved. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have a proposal." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the general. He had led the Earth Defense Forces for 20 years. If anyone had a plan, it would be him. "Last night at exactly 03 hours, the general began, the UTS Independence encountered the Zilanian fleet. Do you know what our brave crew did? They laughed. And then they sent the aliens every funny video on the internet." Confused murmurs rippled through the room. "It worked," the general continued. "The enemy is confused. Their computers are overheating trying to analyze our comedy. I propose we continue this strategy. Project Code, Global Giggle." "You're joking," someone whispered. "I'm dead serious," General Barnes replied. "We flood their communications. Every TV show, every movie, every joke humanity has ever created. If they want to understand us, they can spend the next decade watching reruns of Friends and trying to figure out why the chicken crossed the road." Richard Parker nodded slowly. "It's unconventional, but it's buying us time." "More than that," the general added. "It's exposing them to something they've never encountered. These beings didn't evolve with humor. They don't understand it. It's affecting their psychology." In the Zilanian command ship, Sub-Commander Krell reported to his superior. The war room was dark, lit only by screens displaying Earth broadcasts. "Supreme Commander," Krell said, his 3 eyes blinking nervously. "Our tactical computers have identified a pattern in the human transmissions." Zorthak turned from a display showing the 7th hour of cat videos. "What pattern?" "The humans laugh when things fall, when people trip, when animals make unexpected sounds, but also when they destroy weapons, when they show kindness, when they tell meaningless tales. How can one response fit so many situations?" "We do not know," Krell admitted, "but it appears to be their primary defensive mechanism." Zorthak pointed at the screen. "What is this creature doing?" On the display, a comedian was performing. "I just flew in from New York," the human said, "and boy are my arms tired." The audience on screen laughed. In the Zilanian command center, screens flickered as computers tried to calculate the tactical advantage of tired arms. "Should we return to Earth time to prepare our attack?" Krell asked. "No," Zorthak said slowly. "First, we must understand this humor. Knowledge wins wars. Send for my tactical advisor." Back on Earth, news stations had picked up the story. Reporters stood outside the UN building broadcasting live. In an unprecedented response to an alien invasion, one reporter said, "Earth's leaders have decided to wage war with laughter." Downloads of comedy specials have increased by 500%. The entire planet appears to be preparing for the ultimate joke-off. In cafes around the world, people gathered to watch highlights from the UN meeting. The general's proposal had leaked and public reaction was mixed but mostly supportive. "If we're going to die," said a woman in a London pub, "at least we'll go out laughing." In Tokyo, a group of comedians held a special emergency show. "We're not just entertainers anymore," the host announced. "We're Earth's first line of defense." The International Space Station redirected its transmission arrays toward the Zilanian fleet. Instead of scientific data, they broadcast the complete works of Abbott and Costello, Charlie Chaplin, and Eddie Murphy. "ISS to control," astronaut Jack Williams reported. "We've successfully rickrolled an entire alien empire. I repeat, extraterrestrials have been rickrolled." On Earth, comedy clubs started running 24-hour schedules. Stand-up comedians submitted jokes to a new government website called LaughGov. School children across the planet organized joke collections. Grandparents shared their oldest, silliest gags. The entire human race united in a single purpose: to be funny. Meanwhile, in the Zelanian fleet, confusion spread. Battle-hardened warriors found themselves watching cartoons. Ship commanders held meetings to discuss the strategic value of balloon animals. The Empire's greatest tactical minds debated the military significance of rubber chickens. "Supreme Commander," reported Captain Vex of the destroyer Bold Strike, "my weapons crew is compromised." Compromised how? They discovered something called the Three Stooges. Half my bridge team can't stop making strange facial expressions. They keep hitting each other's eyes and saying, "Nuke, nuke, nuke." Zorthak closed all four of his hands into fists. "This is unacceptable. We are warriors, not laughers." But even as he spoke, the corner of his mouth twitched. He had just witnessed his first slapstick comedy, and something deep in his warrior brain found it amusing. Dr. Sophie Williams, lead researcher at Earth Center for Xenopsychology, addressed a hastily assembled press conference. "We're witnessing something historically unprecedented. For perhaps thousands of years, the Zelanian species evolved without developing humor. They're experiencing it for the first time. It's like introducing color to a species that only sees in black and white." "Can this actually save us?" a reporter asked. "Humor disarms hostility," Dr. Williams explained. "It creates empathy. It shows vulnerability. These are foreign concepts to a pure warrior society. The more they watch, the more they're being changed at a fundamental level." Back in the Zelanian Command Center, something unexpected happened. While reviewing Earth comedy broadcasts, Krell noticed a joke being repeated across multiple transmissions. "Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything." He processed this. Atoms make up everything. The humor came from the double meaning of makeup. Suddenly, for the first time in his life, Krell understood a joke. A small sound escaped his vocal cords. His first laugh was quiet, uncertain. "What was that sound?" Zorthak demanded. I understood the joke, Supreme Commander. There is no time for understanding jokes. We have a planet to conquer." But Zorthak noticed something. His tactical advisor had started to change. Krell's posture was less rigid. His movement seemed lighter somehow. On Earth, the comedy offensive continued. Every major platform streamed continuous entertainment. Even official government channels aired sitcoms between emergency bulletins. The world's largest meme-generating facility worked overtime, creating custom content specifically designed to confuse military-minded aliens. "I want knock-knock jokes that question the nature of reality," ordered General Barnes at the new Department of Comedic Warfare headquarters. "Puns so terrible they cause physical pain. Dad jokes that make actual dads cringe." The team worked tirelessly. Writers, comedians, internet trolls, and joke enthusiasts united for the cause. Within hours, they unleashed their greatest creation, a 48-hour marathon of the worst jokes ever written, performed by the most monotone readers they could find. As Earth prepared its comedic arsenal, the Zelanian fleet drifted in space, caught in an unexpected cultural transformation. Warriors accustomed to destroying planets found themselves giggling at videos of fainting goats. Commanders who once instilled fear now struggled to maintain order as their crews watched cartoon cats. "We need a decision, Supreme Commander," Krell said, noticing another strange sensation. His fourth arm had begun automatically gesturing in a way the humans called comedy timing. Zorthak stared at the main screen, where a human in white makeup was silently pretending to be trapped in a box. "What kind of warfare is this?" he muttered. In the background, another transmission played. "How many Zelanians does it take to change a light bulb? Nobody knows. They're too busy trying to understand why humans need bulbs that can change." For the first time in his command career, Supreme Commander Zorthak of the mighty Zelanian Empire felt something he couldn't identify. Later, human psychologists would call it the moment of comedic enlightenment. But for now, it was just a tickle in his thought patterns, a small crack in his warrior mindset. Human children sent drawings to space via NASA. Comedians from rival nations performed together. Earth's response to potential extinction wasn't defiance or surrender. It was an invitation to join the cosmic joke. Commander Lisa Hayes typed the final coordinates into her console. Around her, The bridge of the UTS Defender buzzed with unusual activity. Instead of weapons technicians, the ship carried comedy specialists, DJ equipment, and enough speakers to host the universe's largest concert. Operation Giggle is a go, she announced to her crew. All ships confirmed speaker systems are operational. 20 modified cargo ships dropped out of faster-than-light speed at the edge of Zelanian fleet. Lieutenant Alex Turner's voice crackled over the comm. Defender, this is Laughing Star 1, all speakers online, beginning the playlist. The first notes of Never Gonna Give You Up blasted through space, followed by the opening beats of the Macarena. The alien ships, expecting an attack, powered up their weapons but held fire as the music filled their sensors. Dance protocol initiated, Alex reported cheerfully. All ships begin the routine. 20 cargo ships, each the size of a football stadium, began to move in formation. Pilots executed spins and loops in perfect timing with the music. It was the largest space ballet in history, performed by mining vessels and transport ships. On the Zelanian flagship, alarms blared. Tactical Officer Wren stared at his screen in disbelief. Supreme Commander, the human ships are moving in patterns, no weapons fire, just movement. Zorthak watched the display. Human ships twisted and turned, following the rhythm of alien, sounds that somehow made his warriors tap their feet. What tactical advantage does this provide? None that I can determine, Wren admitted. They're just dancing? Back on Earth, news channels broadcast the space dance on every screen. Children mimicked the moves in their bedrooms. Elderly people in care homes clapped along. The whole planet was united in humanity's most absurd resistance effort yet. Captain Steve Johnson of the destroyer Bold Defender opened a channel to the alien fleet. Attention, Zelanian Empire. We're about to play Earth's greatest hits. Please adjust your volume levels accordingly. Without waiting for a response, Jenny White, the ship's communications specialist, activated the sequence she had been preparing. For days. The speakers switched to a medley of the most ridiculous songs ever created. The Hamster Dance, Crazy Frog, and the Gummy Bear Song. Supreme Commander, reported a shaking voice from communications. Our battle computers are attempting to decode these signals. They've crashed 3 times trying to find military patterns in the repeating phrases. In the Zelanian Recreation Bay, crew members gathered around screens showing the human performance. For the first time in their military careers, they felt something other than duty or conquest. Some of them began moving to the rhythm, awkward at first, then with growing confidence. Look at them, whispered ship navigator Zell to his colleague. The humans are fearless in the face of death. Or they're completely insane, his colleague replied. But even as he said it, he found his auxiliary arm tapping in time with the beat. As the dance routine entered its 3rd hour, something unexpected happened. The crew of the Laughing Star 1 ran out of their pre-programmed moves and began improvising. Alex Turner started doing what Earth called the robot. His co-pilot responded with the chicken dance. Soon, every human ship in the formation was copying each other, creating a cascade of increasingly ridiculous moves. They're communicating through dance, observed Zorthak. He had been studying these creatures for days now. This is their battle language. Should we respond, Supreme Commander? Krell asked. We are warriors, not dancers, Zorthak said firmly. But he couldn't take his eyes off the screen as a human ship performed what looked like a corkscrew while playing circus music. From Earth, billions watched their ships perform the galaxy's most elaborate rickroll. Comedy clubs opened 24 hours a day to provide fresh material. Joke writers worked in shifts, streaming new content to the dancing ships. The planet had turned its entertainment industry into a weapon. General Mike Barnes coordinated the effort from his command center. They're still watching, he reported. To Richard Parker. Their fleet hasn't fired a single shot. They're too confused to think clearly. Or they're gathering data for a counterattack, Richard warned. Either way, we're giving them the full human experience. Cultural overload until they surrender. The dance party in space continued. Human ships switched between formations. The Mai, conga line, the electric slide, the cha-cha slide. Each move more ridiculous than the last. The Zelanian fleet, fixed in position, became an unwilling audience to the greatest comedy show in cosmic history. In the Zilanian fleet, younger warriors began mimicking the human moves in private. They claimed it was studying enemy tactics, but their commanders noticed the strange sounds they made, the beginnings of laughter. "The humans have a saying," Krell reported after days of communication analysis. "Dance like nobody's watching." But they dance knowing everyone is watching. They perform for our entertainment. Entertainment is not a military strategy, Zorthak reminded him. But it is effective, Krell dared to suggest. Our war computers cannot plan against an enemy that doesn't fear us, that mocks our threats, that invites us to dance. As the fourth day of Operation Giggle began, the human ships unveiled their final surprise. Every screen in the Zilanian fleet received a custom video message, a compilation of bloopers, outtakes, and mistakes from Earth's history of entertainment. "This is to show you that it's okay to make mistakes," a smiling human explained on screen. "We all mess up. We all fall down. The important thing is to laugh about it." The clip showed human leaders tripping, athletes missing easy shots, actors forgetting their lines, and pets doing unexpected things. But in every clip, people laughed. They laughed at themselves. They laughed with others. For warriors trained to see mistakes as weakness, it was revolutionary. They weaponized their imperfections, Ren observed, fascinated. They turn embarrassment into strength. "Impossible," Zorthak muttered. But he had spent the morning watching a video of babies laughing for the first time. Something in that pure joy touched a part of his mind that had been dormant for centuries. The human dance fleet continued their performance, now adding laser light shows and foam machines. Some ships had crew members visible in windows, jumping up and down, making faces at the alien cameras. "Supreme Commander," communications reported, "we're receiving another message from Earth." "What is it this time?" "An invitation. They're hosting a comedy talent show and want us to send representatives. First prize is a planet, second prize is 2 planets, third prize is 3 planets. The bridge fell silent. The logic was completely backward. The offer made no sense. But somehow in its nonsensical nature it made perfect sense to minds slowly adapting to human humor. "They offer us planets through comedy?" Zorthak asked, his voice uncertain for the first time since childhood. "They offer friendship," Krell said quietly, "through shared laughter." In the Zilanian officers' quarters that night, crew members gathered in small groups. Some practiced joke timing. Others attempted to understand why humans found it funny when cartoon characters walked off cliffs and survived. The warriors of the mighty Zilanian Empire, conquerors of worlds, were slowly transforming into students of comedy. The dance continued, in space. 20 ships spinning, twirling, and moving to rhythms that seemed to grow more infectious with each passing hour. And somewhere in the Zilanian fleet, a technician named Crix watched a video of humans falling off pogo sticks and made a sound that his colleagues would later identify as the first official Zilanian giggle. Earth's defense through absurdity was working, not through destroying the enemy, but by introducing them to a concept so foreign, so powerful, that it was reshaping the very core of their society. The empire that came in strength found itself disarmed by humanity's greatest weapon. The ability to find joy in the face of annihilation. Dr. Amy Carter stood before the Emergency Council of Earth's greatest thinkers. She had been studying the alien transmissions for weeks. Dark circles under her eyes showed her lack of sleep, but her excitement was clear. "The Zilanians don't have humor because they never evolved the need for it," she explained. "Their species conquered through pure force. They never needed to connect, to bond, to reduce tension through laughter." "So how do we use this?" asked General Barnes. "We don't just make them laugh anymore," Amy said. "We teach them comedy. We show them the difference between laughing at someone and laughing with someone. We need to connect with them." In his private quarters aboard the flagship, Supreme Commander Zorthak reviewed reports from his crews. Something disturbing was happening. Warriors were using their sleep cycles to study Earth comedy. Battle commands were being responded to with knock-knock jokes. One destroyer captain had renamed his ship from Death's Fang to Tickle Monster. "Sub-Commander Krell," Zorthak called. "Report the status of our invasion force." Krell entered, his armor decorated with small Earth stickers that said, "Will laugh for food." "Sir, morale is changing. The troops are requesting more viewing time. They've started rating human comedians on a scale of 1 to 10 laughs. This is unacceptable." Zorthak's voice remained firm. "We are an invasion force, not a comedy appreciation society." "Of course, sir." Krell hesitated. "But the humans have sent us something called Operation Stand-Up. They want to teach us their comedy through personal lessons." Back on Earth, Colonel Dan Masters assembled a special team. Not soldiers, but comedians. The best joke tellers, story makers, and laugh creators from every country. They had one mission: turn enemy ships into comedy clubs. "Remember," Dan told them, "you're not just entertaining. You're showing them what it means to be human. Make them laugh. Make them think, make them connect." The Laughing Legion, as the media called them, prepared their greatest show. Earth's space fleet created giant holographic projectors around the moon. When activated, it would turn the lunar surface into the galaxy's biggest comedy stage. "This is it?" announced comedian Maria Rodriguez as she tested her microphone. "If we can't make an entire alien empire laugh, at least we'll go out having the universe's biggest bomb. Comedy bomb, that is." 50 comedians, speaking in dozens of languages, began their performance. The moon glowed with projections visible from millions of miles away. The Zelanian fleet had no choice but to watch as Earth's greatest entertainers performed just for them. "Why don't aliens ever use bookmarks?" asked comedian James Kim. "Because they prefer space marks." The joke was terrible. Even humans groaned. But in the Zelanian ships, warriors who had conquered planets found themselves processing the play on words. Some made small sounds that might have been chuckles. Amy Carter's special project began. She had created custom comedy specifically designed for Zelanian psychology. Using their own language patterns, she introduced jokes that played on their military mindset. "How many Zelanian warriors does it take to charge into battle?" Amy asked through her translation device. "Just one. The rest are busy checking that. Their armor matches." It was the first joke using Zelanian culture. Across the fleet, officers found themselves making unfamiliar sounds. Warriors who prided themselves on color-coordinated armor couldn't help but see the humor in their vanity. Admiral Greg Thompson coordinated the defensive grid. Instead of weapons, his satellites projected comedy routines. The entire solar system became one giant entertainment network. Ships arriving from the far reaches of Zelanian space found themselves caught in waves of human humor before they could join the invasion force. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Sarah Williams, "we're detecting changes in their weapon systems. They're shutting down voluntarily, ship by ship." "Explain," demanded General Barnes. "They can't maintain combat readiness while their crews are laughing," Sarah said. "It's physically impossible for them to process military commands while experiencing humor. Their brains are literally being rewired." In the Zelanian medical bay, Dr. Vax examined reports that confused him. "Commander, our brain scans show unprecedented activity. The regions that process humor are activating in warriors who shouldn't have those brain patterns. Is it harmful?" Zorthak asked. "No, sir, it's growth. The humans are changing us at a neurological level." The comedy marathon continued for days. Earth showcased everything: physical comedy, wordplay, satire, absurdist humor. Each type affected different Zelanians in unique ways. Warriors who respected strength loved slapstick. Tactical officers appreciated clever word games. Even Zorthak found himself intrigued by the sophisticated humor of political satire. "This human on the projection," Zorthak asked during one break, "he mocks their own leaders in public, and they don't execute him?" "They call it free speech, sir," Krell explained. "They use comedy to question authority without violence." "Impossible," Zorthak muttered, but he kept watching as the comedian playfully criticized human governments while the audience laughed and applauded. The breakthrough came when Earth broadcast an improvisation show. Comedians created jokes in real time, using suggestions from their audience. The humans broke the fourth wall and spoke directly to their viewers. "We know you're watching, Zilanian Empire," said comedian Andrew Jones. "Give us a topic. We'll make jokes about it." The Zilanian communication officers hesitated. Then, Krell made a decision that would change everything. He sent back a single word: conquest. The improvisers looked at each other and grinned. "How does the Zilanian Empire order coffee?" asked one comedian. "How?" responded another. "They don't. They conquer the coffee shop, install a puppet barista, and make everyone pay tribute in caffeine." The joke was simple. But to Zilanians who had done exactly that to thousands of worlds, it was a mirror. They saw themselves through human eyes. And for the first time, they could laugh at their own absurdity. Zorthak sat silently in his command chair. His four hands gripped the armrests as he processed what had just happened. The humans had turned conquest, the foundation of Zilanian society, into a joke, and his own officers were laughing. "They're not just defending themselves," he said softly. "They're trying to save us from ourselves." The comedy offensive peaked with Earth's masterstroke. Every human on the planet gathered in public spaces. Children, adults, elderly, everyone participated in a synchronized joke-telling event. Billions of voices shared the same joke at the same moment. Why did the Zilanian cross the galaxy? Pause. To get to the punchline. The joke made no sense. It was gloriously, wonderfully meaningless. Yet every human laughed like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. They laughed not at the joke, but at the shared absurdity. They laughed at the idea of telling bad jokes to an invasion force. They laughed at their own planet's ridiculous response to annihilation. In the Zilanian fleet, something fundamental shifted. Warriors who had only known the weight of conquest felt for the first time the lightness of shared humor. Commanders who ruled through fear discovered the power of laughter to bond a crew. "Supreme Commander," Krell said, a sound escaping him. That could only be called a giggle. "I think I finally understand knock-knock jokes." Zorthak looked at his second-in-command, battle-hardened veteran, destroyer of worlds, now giggling like a child. The Supreme Commander felt something stir. Within him, a lightness he couldn't name. "Then tell me one," Zorthak commanded. "Knock knock." Krell began nervously. "Who's there?" Zorthak responded formally. "Invasion." "Invasion who?" "Invasion? More like inloftion." The joke was terrible. The word play barely worked in standard galactic. But for the first time in his 300-year military career, Supreme Commander Zorthak of the Zilanian Empire made a sound that his species hadn't heard in generations. He laughed. The final battle began at dawn, but not with weapons or explosions. Every human ship formed a massive heart shape around the Zilanian fleet. In the center, the UTS Independence floated, powered down and peaceful. "They've arranged themselves into a symbol," Zorthak observed, studying the human formation. "What does it mean?" "According to our cultural database," Krell reported, "it represents love and welcome. They're offering peace instead of fighting. The largest holographic display yet activated above Earth. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a threat. Instead, it showed a video compilation of laughter throughout human history. Babies giggling for the first time. Friends sharing jokes. Families gathered around dinner tables. Comedy shows bringing joy to millions. Wedding receptions where people danced stupidly but happily. This is their strongest weapon, Zorthak said, watching. Connection. Joy. The ability to find light in darkness. Commodore Chris Baker led the final human comedy fleet. Not to attack, but to present. Every ship carried no weapons, only screens, speakers, and the complete library of Earth entertainment. They approached the Zilanian flagship slowly. Broadcasts filled with the closing ceremony of humanity's comedic defense. "Citizens of Zilan," Dr. Ryan Clark spoke into every Zilanian communication system. "You came to conquer. Instead, you discovered laughter. You planned destruction, but found creation. We invite you to join us in the greatest alliance in galactic seal. History, not built on fear, but on shared joy." The Zilanian ships began to move. Human commanders tensed, expecting an attack. Instead, the alien vessels rearranged themselves into what their computers identified as a smiley face. 500 warships, each powerful enough to destroy planets, forming the universe's largest emoji. On the flagship's bridge, Zorthak's officers waited for orders. His four hands moved deliberately as he considered 300 years of conquest against 3 weeks of laughter. "Open a channel to all Zilanian ships," he commanded, "and to Earth." Every screen in both fleets showed the Supreme Commander. His armor still bore the marks of countless battles. His stance remained that of a warrior, but his posture had changed. There was something lighter about him now. "People of Earth," Zorthak began. "We came to your system as conquerors. We carried death and fear. We expected resistance through violence. Instead, you offered us perspective." He paused, searching for words in his newly expanded understanding. "You did not defeat us through strength. You did not survive through hiding. You faced our threat with something we had lost long ago, the ability to see joy, even in moments of crisis, the capacity to laugh at ourselves and our situation." Around Earth, billions held their breath. In the Zilanian fleet, warriors listened to their Supreme Commander speak words they had never thought possible. "The Zilanian Empire hereby withdraws its invasion force," Zorthak announced. "But we do not return home defeated. We return changed. We ask, instead of conquest, for cultural exchange." Cheers erupted across Earth. But the celebration truly began when Zorthak added, "We must learn more about this comedy. We understand that humans organize something called open mic nights." The response from Earth was immediate. Within hours, the first intergalactic comedy exchange was established. Human comedians prepared to tour Zilanian ships. Alien warriors signed up for humor classes. "Supreme Commander," Krell asked as they watched humans organizing virtual comedy clubs, "what will the other empires say? We were the mightiest in the galaxy." "Let them say what they will," Zorthak replied. "We discovered something more powerful than conquest, a weapon that strengthens both those who wield it and those who receive it." 3 months later, the Laugh Line connected Earth and Zealand Prime. The first exchange program saw 50 human comedians welcomed aboard Zilanian ships, while 50 Zilanian warriors attended comedy boot camp in Los Angeles. Their early jokes were awkward, their timing off, but both species laughed together at the attempt. "Why is our coffee so strong?" asked newly appointed Ambassador Krell during his first press conference on Earth. "Because we're still trying to wake up from 300 years of taking ourselves too seriously." The audience groaned at the terrible joke. Then they laughed at how much he seemed to enjoy their groaning. His 3 eyes lit up with the wonder of successfully getting a reaction. At Earth's first roast of an invasion fleet, Supreme Commander Zorthak sat in a spotlight, surrounded by human comedians making fun of his forearms, his warrior armor, and his extremely serious invasion declaration. "You came to Earth with death threats," joked comedian Lisa Chen, "which is basically just sending a really aggressive save-the-date card for the apocalypse." Zorthak's deep laughter joined thousands of others. The sound echoed through the hall. 100 alien warriors in their first comedy club, discovering that mockery with affection felt different from mockery with hatred. The treaty was signed 6 months after first contact, not in a war room or government building, but on the comedy stage of the Giggle Zone, Earth's newest entertainment venue. Ambassador Richard Parker and Supreme Commander Zorthak shook hands, all 6 of them, while comedians from both species performed in the background. Article 1. Richard read from the treaty. "Both species agree that the only weapons of mass destruction shall be whoopee cushions, bad puns, and particularly impressive dad jokes." The crowd laughed. Humans and Zilanians together. 2 years after the invasion that never was, children on Earth learned jokes in Zilanian for school. Young warriors on Zilan Prime practiced human comedy routines. The 2 species, so different, in almost every way found common ground in their shared ability to laugh at themselves. At the first annual Failed Invasion Comedy Festival, Zorthak took the stage as the closing performer. He still wore his warrior armor, but now it was decorated with joke stickers and laugh track sound buttons. You know, he said into the microphone, I used to think conquering planets was the height of achievement. Now I realize the greatest victory is making someone's day better with laughter. He paused for timing, just as his human coaches had taught him. Though I still haven't figured out why the chicken crossed the road. I'm starting to think that joke is just the universe's way of teaching us that not everything needs to make sense. Sometimes it just needs to make you smile. As laughter filled the hall, children of both species sat together, sharing jokes that transcended language barriers through the universal language of giggles and grins. What began as humanity's strangest defense against invasion had become something far more powerful. A bridge between worlds, built on laughter and seasoned with joy. The Zelanian Empire, once feared throughout the galaxy, became known instead as the civilization that learned to laugh. They kept their strength, their pride, and their warrior traditions, but they added something new. The wisdom to know that sometimes the greatest courage isn't in making war, but in making room for humor in your heart, even in the face of your greatest enemy. And so the universe learned that humanity's greatest gift wasn't technology, or intelligence, or even creativity. It was their unshakable ability to find laughter in the darkest moments, to offer joy where others offered threats, and to transform potential destroyers into friends by sharing the simple, powerful magic of a good joke. In the words of the now famous Peace Treaty closing statement, the Empire came in strength, humans answered with laughter, and together they built a future where both could flourish.